Gerald, I want to talk to you about this book and film that you've got, What ZZ Gave Honey Boy. I just saw Jersey Boys over the weekend with my wife, and I thought it was interesting in the story where at one point Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons realized that one of the group members has essentially sold the group out to the mob, that they're massively in debt to the mob. I thought that's kind of an analogy for America, isn't it? Yeah. But I'd like to hear your take, because your take is, as you subtitle it here, a true story about love, wisdom, and the soul of America. I'd like to see that film.
Well, here's the book. And right? Of everything I've ever written, David, and I've written a lot of stuff over the last, 35 years, this is my favorite. And Zia is in Italian, that's aunt. And Zizi is your auntie.
Oh, okay.
And she was my aunt. And I used to visit her all the time. I was going through a divorce. Her husband just died. And we used to play Scrabble all the time. And one day, she used to cook for me like all Italian women do. She could hardly walk. I'm coming back from the city, and the sink is filled up with pots and pans. She used to not only cook for me when I was there, but enough for me to take home for a week. And I start washing the dishes. She says, sit down. She says, you're my guest. I said, I'm cleaning the dishes, and she said to me, Gerald, I listened to the news all day yesterday. What a bunch of begins with an S. They must think we're all morons. I stopped what I was doing and I wrote those words down. In 3 months, I wrote this book. And I used to call her every time I wrote a couple of pages. And it was what this country used to be. How her and her husband, they had a butcher's shop in the Bronx. And how they were able to buy a lovely home in the nice section of Yonkers. How the family used to be there. How there was, when this was truly the land of opportunity. And she used to tell me, my grandfather, may his soul rest in peace, she said, your grandfather, when he came from Italy, was so proud to be an American. He was the first person online on the voting booth. This is on the east side of New York, the Upper East Side. And she said, now, they call me up and they say, Mrs. Villani, the Democratic Party, she's a Democrat, can we pick you up to go vote? She said, what you could do? You could pick me up to go shopping. I can't get out. So I wouldn't vote for any of you crooks.
Yeah.
And we started going back and forth about what life used to be in America and what it's become. The criminal operations, the immorality, that they could even have a thing where they could justify killing suspected terrorists with drones, where they could take us to war for lies, outright lies, and then put up that little guy with a bad attitude, the Vice President of the United States, Cheney, and keep spewing out his lies. And there's no dignity anymore. There's no respect. There's lack of courage. So this book is about when it used to be and how to get it back. And this is an independent film. People are just doing this that read the book. So anybody that wants to help this film, by the way, Doris Roberts, the woman who played Everybody Loves Raymond, she's going to be playing Zizi. And she's the perfect person for it.
That's
and
great.
The website is ziziandhoneyboy.com. And it's an independent film, and they're shooting it now. Doris Roberts has signed up. So anybody that wants to help bring Zizi back to life, and boy, do we need her now. Please do what you can do.
Gerald, as I've told you in the past, my wife is part Italian and from New York, and so I know a lot of people that came over as immigrants. They came over because they loved America. And in many cases, unlike people like first time I met my wife, she said, what nationality are you? And I said, I'm an American. And she said, yeah, funny. No, where are your people from? It's like, well, America. I mean, they've been here for hundreds of years. So I don't have any recollection of that. But, in many cases, the people who came over and realized what they were leaving saw what tyranny was about, whether they were in East Germany or some other place, and they realized the control that government had over their lives. When they tasted freedom, they appreciated it and they loved it more in America than they did elsewhere. But I'm very concerned about the demographic surge that we see with illegal aliens just opening up the border and collapsing them and bringing them in at such young ages and in such numbers that it's not a melting pot anymore.
No, it's not. The whole country's been destroyed by the Bloods and the Crips.
Yeah. And I was just given this article from Kit Daniels, just went up on the Infowars.com website. TSA to raise groping fees that are being charged to passengers. That's right. They're going to raise fees. And of course, these are going to be fees that are hidden in your airline ticket prices. The new fees are going to be $5.60 for a non-stop flight and an extra $5.60 for each leg of the trip. This kind of reminds me of that movie Brazil that Terry Gilliam did, kind of a Monty Python take on 1984, where they've got the wrong guy, but they come in with a SWAT team raid. They break into his apartment. They put the black bag over his head, and then while he's tied up and while they let one hand loose while he's in the bag, they have him sign a sheet of paper agreeing to pay for his interrogation. You know, that's what this has come to. It's not a joke anymore. It's you look at. You look at Brazil, and instead of laughing at it, you're saying, yeah, that's happening now. You know, that was something that's decades old, but now we see that happening. So, Gerald, what do you think about the TSA charging us, adding these hidden fees to our airline tickets?
Well, you know, before I get into that, I was mentioning about the Bloods and the Crips. Mm-hmm. They're the Democrats and the Republicans. They're murderers and they're thieves. You know, when I get emotional, I was talking about the Zizi, what this country used to be like and what it's turned into. I mean, I've been around. I know what it was. And it breaks my heart. And so when I say the Bloods and the Crips, I'm not saying that sarcastically. Look what they've done to Iraq. Mm-hmm. Look what they've done to Afghanistan. Look at the murder on their blood on their hands. Look how they steal our money. You're talking about the TSA now. Oh, yeah, that's going to stop it. Oh, yeah. Hey, David, how about these millions of people that are coming over the border?
Not concerned about them.
Dress up like Al-Qaeda or Al-Nusra. I mean, if anybody wants to come in, hey, you know, get online, man. It's a long line. They keep flowing over. Who they BSing with this crap that by listening to us, by feeling us up, by stealing our money, and by sending our people to go kill other people, that they're protecting us, and the imbeciles believe this garbage?
And this
I can't stop kids from coming over the border.
Well, it's the same agency. It's the same agency that is groping people at the airports and now adding fees to our tickets that has essentially opened our borders to literal gangs that are coming across with part of this drug war. That more people are dying in Mexico than have died in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and that's the drug war that our government is supplying, as well as saying that they're fighting it at the same time, and now they're bringing that violence into our country, opening the borders while they increase the harassment of people who come in via airplanes, who come in legally.
And again, it's not only here. Just what the Nobel Peace Prize winner did when he and Samantha Powers and Susan Rice and Hillary Clinton did with the destabilizing Libya, overthrowing a sovereign government and destabilizing the entire region with the covert war in Syria, with the destabilization, with the Iraq war, Afghan war. They're flooding into Europe. They can't stop them. Last week, 2 weeks ago, it was like 8,000 people just coming into Italy.
That's right.
So it's a destabilization worldwide being caused by people who are mentally ill. Does anybody have to see a sicker SOB than Cheney or Kerry? That guy's always shooting his mouth off, man. One loser after another, one vicious war, and people are wondering why it's not working. So when I say Bloods and Crips, I mean it.
Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements and they upset my stomach and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield, true nascent iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.